Attorney General Richard Cordray increasing the state payroll by $300,000 in his first 3 months, giving raises to 95% of his friends from his previous job. And we also talked about his $1.5 million public relations staff that includes employees paid to update Facebook and Twitter. Today I want to take a more in-depth look at how incumbent Richard Cordray's mismanagement of the state crime lab is hurting Ohioans and hindering county prosecutors who are responsible for putting criminals behind bars. I've said from the beginning of this campaign, Ohio needs an attorney general who has experience as a prosecutor. Incumbent Richard Cordray does not have that experience. Cordray has shown throughout his term that he's more interested in chasing headlines than helping prosecutors in Ohio. Before I turn things over to the county prosecutors in this room, I want to make one thing very clear. Contrary to what Mr. Cordray has tried to claim, my criticism about the state crime lab, those criticisms have been aimed at him and his management policies alone and not at the employees. I think as I've talked to each one of you, I've always prefaced my statement by saying that I have a great deal of respect for the men and women who work at the crime lab. Our state crime lab has some of the best analysts in the country. But Richard Cordray's mismanagement and misplaced priorities are crippling those analysts' ability to work efficiently with county prosecutors and protect Ohio citizens. What we're talking about is really the core, essential function of the Attorney General of the state of Ohio, and that is to protect the citizens of this state. And the Attorney General does that by giving invaluable assistance to prosecutors, to sheriffs, and to police. That has been a major failure of Richard Cordray. Let me, at this point, introduce Fairfield County Prosecutor David Landefeld, who will talk for a few minutes and then turn it over to the other prosecutors. David.
Thank you, Senator. Senator DeWine said, I'm David Landefeld. I'm the Fairfield County Prosecuting Attorney. And I've been in prosecution now. I'm in my 30th year of prosecution, 28 years as the elected prosecuting attorney. And I've worked with BCI and I in the Attorney General's office under both Democrats and Republicans. BCI is critical to the operations of law enforcement in small and medium counties in particular. We rely on BCI for a great deal of our law enforcement laboratory needs in particular. Fairfield County, for instance, although we're about 145,000 in population, we don't have our own crime lab. And we really don't have the budget at this point to send samples of evidence to other crime labs elsewhere other than BCI, even though recently we've been sending some critical drug case evidence to the laboratory that the Newark Police Department has. Primarily for us in Fairfield County, we're inundated with an opiate problem. I don't think that's no surprise to any of you who have covered Fairfield County and know that we're in the midst of an OxyContin, Vicodin, heroin epidemic, and we're one of the counties that is really trying to do something about that. But delays at the state crime lab have gotten to the point that if we have a suspect in custody on drug charges, we either have to pay that Newark crime lab, police crime lab, to do the testing, or we have to basically let that potential criminal suspect out of custody, because we have to operate under speedy trial provisions of the Ohio Revised Code that require us in felonies to bring that individual to trial within 90 days of his or her arrest. That means we need our drug test results in a speedy fashion. And regrettably, we haven't been able to get that from BCI and I. We've had several cases where, one example just in 2009, where we had a trafficker in crack cocaine, submitted the lab report, submitted for lab testing of BCI on May the 22nd of 2009. The report was returned on August the 25th of 2009. That same case, the drugs were submitted on the 25th of June of 2009, and the lab report was issued on the 14th of October. So those kind of delays, that's just one example of, I've got 4 here. I don't want to bore you with examples, but these were just picked randomly by our major crimes unit for me, just to give you an understanding of what kind of delays we're experiencing. Now, it's my understanding that Union County Prosecuting Attorney David Phillips couldn't be here today. He got called away this morning. But he's told me that his office has been forced to avoid arresting drug traffickers because he knows that BCI can't get the results back fast enough to meet the speedy trial deadline. And again, the same situation occurs in Fairfield County, and I'm certain in a number of other counties of medium and small size around the state. And as a prosecuting attorney, I can tell you that when you can't hold a serious offender in custody, more often than not, that individual is going to go out and reoffend while awaiting whatever trial might occur, or potentially flee the jurisdiction. Neither one of those results does the citizens of our county or the citizens of the state of Ohio any good. At this time, I'd like to introduce Adams County Prosecuting Attorney Aaron Haslam. Aaron has spent 6 years in prosecuting. He is a relatively newly elected prosecutor, having been elected for his first term in the year 2008. Aaron?
Thank you very much. My name is Aaron Haslam. I'm the Adams County Prosecutor. As mentioned, I have approximately 6 years of prosecutorial experience. This is my first term. Prior to that, I was an assistant prosecutor. And prior to that, I have some intern experience in the same office that I'm currently the elected prosecutor. As many of you are aware, Adams County is a small county, approximately 2 hours south of Columbus. We have a population of approximately 28,000 individuals. We rank 1 or 2 each year on the list of poorest counties in the state of Ohio. Very small county with very limited financial resources. What we've seen in the last year, in 2009, we had approximately 130 some felony indictments in our county. In 2010, as of Thursday of last week, we have approximately 328 felony indictments this year. A large increase, and a large portion of that rise is due to the abuse of prescription drugs. One of the problems with that large increase is we have no BCI presence or Attorney General presence in Southern Ohio helping combat this problem. Senator DeWine's opponent is well aware of the problem, but has made no attempts to help come to Southern Ohio and fight the problem with us. 2 problems, and first let me say the State Crime Lab has some of the best investigators in the world. However, one of the problems with the Crime Lab is those investigators are stretched extremely thin. They deliver an outstanding work product, but the problem is they don't have enough time to do all the tasks they're being asked to do by their boss at this time. They just have too many cases and don't have enough time to help. And the cases that they're helping on now currently take too long to get results on. The number of narcotics investigators has dwindled quite a bit over the last few years, but it's gotten really bad in the last 12 months. The second problem with the current status of BCI and the Crime Lab is that, as mentioned previously, and as you're going to hear from some other prosecutors here today, we have a problem getting drug test results back. And one of the ideas I hate, and that I have to answer quite often in the community, to law enforcement agents, to my sheriff, And I tell them I absolutely hate the idea of releasing drug offenders, but I don't have any other choice because I can't get drug test results back. And what does that mean? That means those individuals that commit the drug abuse crimes are not in jail. And when they're not in jail, they're out committing other drug abuse crimes. If we can't keep those individuals in jail, they're going to keep plaguing our streets with drugs and drug abuse crimes. And that's where the problem with not getting the drug test results back. We wait 90, 120, 150 days to get drug test results back in Adams County. That's a long time for a caseload of 300 and some felonies to wait to get prosecuted. Senator DeWine, he understands this problem, and the reason he understands the problem is he engaged county prosecutors early on. He understands the problem with the crime lab and has promised to help us overcome the issue with prescription drugs and other drug abuse offenses in Adams County and Southern Ohio and the rest of the state. I'd like to introduce to you at this time from Jackson County in his second term as an elected prosecutor, Mr. Jonathan Blanton.
Sure.